Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel. In this video we're going to be reacting to 11 US national parks that dwarf Britain's largest. Now, as a person that likes the outdoors and the nature, I actually want to see this, because I haven't been to the UK's or the Britain's largest national parks. I've always wanted to, but I love nature and all that sort of stuff. So this is also just going to give me more places that I want to visit in America. So, without further ado, let's get it on with this reaction.
Hello, I'm Lawrence and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to the great outdoors, Mother Nature. David Attenborough's spare bedroom, I might have made that one up. Both countries are enriched with the kind of landscape that make you want to go, forget quarantine, give me the evergreens, some aubergines and a pack of wolverines, perhaps not that last one. And each boasts stunning protected areas known more commonly as national parks. Perhaps my favourite is the Lake District, the largest and most visited national park in England, and the second largest in the UK behind the Cairngorms in Scotland. With its sprawling countryside, expansive lakes, and people in flat caps, it's enough to make me adopt the cadence of a country file host. In all, the UK has 15 designated national parks. For context, that's more than California, which is almost twice the size, but then everything's bigger in America. As I reported 6 years ago in an article that was subsequently regurgitated with oddly identical wording by the Daily Mail, who didn't cite me as a source, 11 states are larger than the UK. By sheer coincidence, the same number of US national parks make the Cairngorms look smaller than my front garden.
Oh wow.
I don't have one. With America made up of so much land, it's not surprising that its national parks are so embarrassingly substantial, but even I couldn't quite conceive that its two largest dwarf not just the Cairngorms, but the nation of Wales. And so, without further sand dunes, let's take a look at those US national parks that dwarf Britain's biggest. President
this one was obvious, isn't it?
Theodore Roosevelt said that in the Grand Canyon, Arizona has a natural wonder which is in kind absolutely unparalleled throughout the rest of the world, except for my mustache. Surprisingly though, it's the smallest US national park on this list. In 2019, the National Park Service, accounting for public and private land, recorded an area of 4,800 kilometers squared. That's about 1.1 Cairngorms. So okay, in that sense, it doesn't exactly dwarf it, but like every other entry on this list, it's larger than Rhode Island. And if you could stretch the Grand Canyon into a single straight line, none of us would survive the resulting earthquake. No, if you could stretch the Grand Canyon into a single straight line, it would travel from the top of the Cairngorms to the bottom of the Lake District. Also, Britain's second tallest mountain is located in the Cairngorms. It's called Ben Macdui, which comes from Scottish Gaelic meaning Macduff's Hill. I will hereafter refer to it as Macduff's Hill because, you know, Shakespeare, but also because I'm not convinced I know how to pronounce Macdui. Anyway, the Grand Canyon's north rim tops out at twice its height. Everglades National Park, known affectionately to me as the Broads of America, is surprising in its own right. I mean, super-sized national parks are usually synonymous with America's West, but this tropical wilderness with its herons, alligators, and whatever the hell this is, sits within the southern tip of Florida. It is larger in overall area than the Grand Canyon. Canned Canyon sounds like quarantine food, and it is the third largest national park in the lower 48. It stands to reason then that it also eclipses Britain's biggest at 6,107 kilometers squared. The Everglades is equal to roughly 1.3 Cairngorms. However, famous for its expanse of wetlands, the Everglades is not known for its height. That's why it's the only park on this list with a less impressive elevation than Macduff Hill, even if the next entry just about beats it.
Oh wow. That looked crazy.
Green dreams, it seems, are coming true.
High up in the Arctic region of Alaska, one of America's lesser-known national parks is quietly and frigidly providing spectacular views of nature at their most surprising. Like the Everglades, it has sprawling wetlands, but also unfathomable sand dunes and snow-capped mountains. It's also larger than Delaware. Among the least visited national parks in the country, this 7,000 square kilometers of land equates to 1.6 Cairngorms, and its tallest mountain, named Mount that is just 470 feet taller than Macduff, so okay, this one doesn't exactly set the world on fire, but our next entry might. Straddling the northwest corner of Wyoming, Yellowstone National Park sits atop a supervolcano so massive it's impossible to talk about it without morphing into a BBC narrator describing the protracted events of an aviation disaster. While we don't know if or when an eruption might occur, we do know this. Yellowstone National Park is twice the size of the Cairngorms. Famous for its geysers, waterfalls and collection of not very convincing supernovae, Yellowstone is the second largest national park in the lower 48. It's almost 9,000 square kilometers, and never mind supervolcanoes, the tallest mountain in Yellowstone is Eagle Peak, which stands taller than Macduff, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth combined. Sounds like the work of geological witchcraft to me, and if that's true, something wicked this way comes.
Nah, Yellowstone's absolutely massive.
This one almost didn't make the list, not because it's not impressively huge, but because I almost confused it for the much smaller Glacier National Park in Montana. To be clear, Glacier Bay National Park is very decidedly in Alaska and is more than 3 times the size of the former. Heck, it almost pummels the Cairngorms by the same number. Mental! In Alaskan terms, the park is actually quite close to the state capital of Juneau and is a convenient cruise destination. This accounts for why it receives more annual visitors than most of its Alaskan counterparts. Its gentler climate probably helps too. Not that our next entry would know anything about that. In 1913, the hottest ever air temperature recorded on Earth was, recorded. It was here, at the former Furnace Creek Inn in California, that Death Valley entered the record books when it registered a career-ending 134 degrees Fahrenheit. You could say it was burned at the stake. But yet more witches dwell within. At around 13,800 square kilometers, it is easily the largest national park in the contiguous United States, to the extent that it's around 3 times the size of the Cairngorms. And the third witch of Death Valley goes by the name of Telescope Peak, which at 11,000 feet makes Macduff look like its microscopic brother. Our next entry is anything but. Not just one of Chicago's famous street intersections, Clark and Lake, or Lake Clark, is the 5th largest national park in the United States. And for a lark, let's embark on Lake Clark Park's Stark Arc so no one's left in the dark. Hark! It's almost twice the size of Yellowstone National Park. That means at 16,304 kilometers squared, it's roughly equal to 3.6 Cairngorms. Given its proximity to cruise ships, it's on par with Glacier Bay for annual visitors and far more than its nearest Alaskan counterpart.
Jesus
Buy a
Christ.
quality check used car online. No haggling, free home delivery and a 14-day money-back guarantee.
We're proud to supply 100% renewable electricity.
Just a tad larger than Lake Clark. My cat, no, that's my cat. My National Park is what you'd get if you took the average area of Connecticut and New Jersey. The park is named after one of my new favourite peaks, a large stratovolcano with a wide crater lake just casually hanging out on top. It's a good 2,500 feet taller than Macduff, and to further the Macbeth reference, does look a bit like a cauldron. And if that wasn't enough, the park by itself is 16,500 square kilometres, or, 3.7 Cairngorms. And you ain't seen nothing yet. At this point in the video, I'm going to pause and take a moment to think about the biggest thing I've ever seen. And then remember that still doesn't include the 3 largest national parks in America. The 3rd largest of those is Denali National Park and Preserve, which weighs in at approximately 4.4 Cairngorms, or, Slovenia. It's perhaps not surprising that Alaska, a state whose total area is 7 times larger than the UK, protects such unfathomable stretches of land. But with Denali, there's also the small matter of the focal point. Reaching at a height of 20,000 feet, it's almost 5 times as tall as Macduff, and 4.5 times the size of Ben Nevis. No other peak in North America measures up, but the park itself is not even the largest in Alaska. I contend here and now that no national park in America bears a more epic name than the Gates of the Arctic. One day I will enter the park with sword and armour and take up arms against Steve the Ice Dragon. Until then, though, from my dwelling in Chicago, I can only marvel at its monstrous size. The park, not Steve. At 34,000 square kilometres, it's the size of not only 7.5 Cairngorms, but 1.7 Waleses and 2.5 Northern Islands. Situated entirely north of the Arctic Circle, it is the least visited member of the national park system. This might also have something to do with the fact that there are no roads anywhere in the park. Imagine navigating Belgium on foot. That's how big it is. That said, despite being bigger than Rhode Island, Delaware and Connecticut combined, it's no way near the biggest. It might sound like the name of a hospital, but Alaska's Wrangell St. Elias is far and away the largest member of the US National Park System. It's so big it should be its own state. I mean, it's the size of Arkansas, or 2 Haitis, or 2.5 Waleses, or 6 Yellowstones. And at 53,000 square kilometres, it really does dwarf the Cairngorms. fact, it's almost 12 times as big. Cozy enough to the
Jesus.
Canadian border, and I don't think this gets emphasised enough, the park is adorably shaped like a baby Alaska. And if that's the baby, just imagine how big its mother is. If the park ever became the 51st state, it would be the 29th largest in the Union. On top of that, it boasts America's second tallest peak and fourth highest volcano, one that violently erupted 2,000 years ago. Its name? Mount Churchill, named for a British statesman you might have heard of. As Churchill himself once said, "Now is not the end, it is not even the beginning of the end, but it is perhaps the end of the beginning." Actually, it's just the end. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments below
that was
which
really interesting.
national park
I
you're
didn't-
most excited about visiting once all of this blows over. Don't forget you can follow me on Twitter.
That is definitely a good thing. Yeah, I know I didn't talk a lot in that video, but again, a lot of them are really interesting, especially some of the in Alaska. They look absolutely amazing, but I just don't even know what's up there. Like, what is up there to visit, honestly? I have no idea. I'd love to have a little look, though. But yeah, Yellowstone is definitely up there. But it just proves to you how small the UK is. And I know that it was only comparing the national parks in the UK, in Britain. But, I don't know, just as a whole, it's amazing. Just like the, was it the Gate to the Arctic, or the last one, the biggest one in Alaska, was what, 2 times Wales? Wales is massive. Absolutely massive. But no, it's insane. It's crazy to think about. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and a comment down below. Be sure to check all my links out down below, as it helps a lot just to follow my Instagram, follow all that lot. It means a lot, trust me. And also, if you want to show a bit more love, then subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell, again, would mean the world to me, as 90% of you guys who currently watch my content are not subscribed, and we've got to get that 90 hopefully down to about 70 or 80, but we'll get there eventually, guys. Just come on, join the bandwagon, help me out, and it'll be amazing. But yeah, I hope you're all having a great and splendid day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.